had to do any of this. Good evening, sir.
Hello, hello. How are y'all?
Great. How are
You're
you?
good.
I'm excited to be here.
Now, Chena, are you guys remote now or did you stay in person?
So we actually just no offense or anything, but my name is Sheena.
I'm
My mom
sorry.
no,
I am so
it's
sorry.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. My mom, had to be different. So anyway, we've been face to face and remote. You could have a choice if you wanted to be virtual or face to face. And actually, last week the board voted, and we're virtual until the end of this week. And so we don't know if the board's going to vote Monday for us to remain. Which I think is silly to tell parents the day before. But anyway, so I don't make the big bucks. So
That's how we roll here too. They don't know until the last minute. But right
Whoever
now,
hollers last the loudest. That's what we do this week.
that's right.
well, we're remote, elementary and EC populations go back February 15th, and middle and high go back February 22nd, unless conditions are not favorable for that. They did actually say that this time, if things are looking okay. So that's where we stand right now.
Well, we had our middle of the year evaluations today for your whatever, and they say they're not worried about testing. They're worried about testing. At least that's what they talk about it. They are. And I had 70 course, but I only have 600 students. I have a small school. I had 70 course failures last semester in 1920. I had 300 for this past semester 2021. And
That is crazy.
We've gone and knocked on doors. We've done social work visits, anything you can think of, and it's not working.
We've taken all of we do a little bit of a different schedule to than most middle schools. Our kids are on Zoom in all of their classes from 8:45 to 12:40. And we've taken all of our part-time people and we've assigned them to a team of teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And they follow a cohort of students. And they go online every day, and they're there through the whole Zoom meeting. They're there for behavior management assistance, but also if a kid is not there, they can't see the kid on the camera, they call the parents immediately and let them know. And so that way we're trying to at least get them on the Zooms.
Right.
But we've had a lot more failures also. I mean, my poor son, he's on the football team and their starting quarterback can't play because he failed. And I'm like, Joe, that doesn't mean anything other than he's lazy and he didn't do his work.
That's right.
If you fail in remote learning, that means you're lazy and you're not doing your work for the most part.
Yep. Yes, that's very true. Very true. Hey, John, is my pen up on the table over there? Sorry, we're in a whole new look, Dr. Lamb. Is my pen over there?
So, Dr. Lamb, are you still at Lake Norman?
I'm at Lake Norman again tonight. I meant to leave earlier today, but I didn't.
Okay, because it's like I know when you have that backdrop, you're not the hermit of Lake Lure.
No, I'm
and you've been there a lot.
Yeah, because I hadn't been on campus, and so if I don't go to campus, I can stay here. But when I leave and go to campus tomorrow, I'll have to stay away for at least 5 days because campus is, kids come upstairs. We got one bathroom downstairs, in the hall down there, and so they still want us to do 5 hours.
Do you need to be doing that?
No, but we've reverted back to the 2 days a week, 5-hour minimum each day, 10-hour a week for your professorship for the university. The dean put out an email on Friday finally that said, he wanted us to be there. I used to come every day, 5 days a week. But then during all this, but now we're back to the university. He's dropped his notion of everybody coming every day and standing around the water cooler, and you're banned from going to other people's offices finally, as it should have been all along. And so We slip in, they've moved all of us upstairs in Craig. We're up on the second floor, down at the end where nobody's around us. We can come in, we've got that outside door off the stairwell. We walk in and I'm literally 8 steps from my office door. It's about 12 feet from the door outside to my office door. You go in, close the door. Jeff Hamilton and I are on a separate HVAC unit just for our 2 offices down on the end. And nobody's around us. We're not around anybody. The only risk is when you get to go to the restroom downstairs. You know, old folks, we have to pee every hour, only hour.
But still, though, I really.
No, we shouldn't be there, but we can't get any CARES money or state money if we say we're closed.
And I get that, but you know, you got some things going on.
Well, I mean, I could apply to be, you know, but then you got to go through the ordeal of going to your doctor every month on short-term disability, and that's a bigger risk. That's a bigger risk than going to work, is going to the doctor's office. I told you I went to the ophthalmologist, had to get new glasses. I'm, you know, nearly blind with old glasses on. And I had to go to the respiratory doctor, and I had to go to my GP over the holidays. And I told you, you know, all the ordeal I went through when going to the GP. You pull into a space, you call.
Yes.
They have you come in, you do your paperwork through the glass, you go back out and sit down, and you wait in your vehicle till the other person in front of you's out, and then they come out and they shoot your temperature, do all that. Just as I get out of my truck, start to walk in, you know, a Karen pulls up with her teenage daughter and just busted right in the middle of us because the doctor must see her daughter. She twisted her ankle. And just blew that whole thing out of the water. And I just looked at him like, really? You're not going to tell that woman to get back in her car? No. Come right
Well,
on
now, do you have any idea when you're going to get the vaccine?
No. Me and Mark aren't quite 65 yet.
Now for Pitt County schools,
Danny.
they're going to give it to the teachers in Pitt County schools. We had to sign. They asked for how many people wanted to do it, and they just found out how many, and I think they're going to give it to us soon.
Man, I was wishing CMS would do something like that, but I don't have my fingers crossed.
But
they're
already in Burke County. They already got it in Burke, because last Friday I was on a Zoom with Jennifer Putnam, and we were doing the undergraduate teacher ed admission interviews, and she said she had to go, but they just called that somebody had canceled, didn't want their shot for Burke County schools. And of course, her husband's the superintendent, so he called her, and she went and got her first shot Friday.
I mean, I wish we could get ours before they would send the kids back, but I know that's
what I
not
mean.
happen.
They're having school in Burke, so they got theirs. They're giving their shots out there now. But
my parents got theirs today, their first one. But I mean, who knows when it's going to happen with
well, but the problem now is because of the logistics. A lot of people that got the first one, they've gone past their time to get the second one. The second one's didn't arrive. What they did in order to try to speed way, it was supposed to be designed, and I watched Operation Warp Speed on 60 Minutes. I told anybody that would listen that was just a cluster. That much was that was the Keystone Cops. I mean, we're running this major organization out of an abandoned big box store, like an old Sears store, and they had markers and whiteboards. I'm not making, you go back and watch this 60 Minutes on YouTube on Warp Speed that came out 6 or 7 weeks ago. You knew they got a guy who was 2 weeks from retiring, was a motor pool guy to run this thing up from the Army. Yeah, he was, he ran the motor pool. And you understand the logistics of the nightmare that transporting and holding something at minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit, that this was going to be a disaster. And so the way this thing was supposed to work is they sent out 100 doses. You vaccinated 50 people, you held the other 50 doses in reserve for their shot 3 weeks later. Well, because of their trying to speed up and because of their lack of storage, they went ahead and gave 100 shots and hoped that another vaccine would be there in 21 days to give them their second. Well, it's not. And if you don't get the vaccine within 24, 25 days, you have to start all over again.
That's fantastic.
That's where we are right now. And so, But now nothing else has gone right in the last 4 years. I don't know why we'd think that this would go right. In terms of logistics, as an operations person, I've never seen any, government has, been a whole new level of dumbassery in the last 4 years in terms of not being able to do just the simplest things, the simplest things. Now, that may be due to the administration. It might be people inside that were working against them. Doesn't matter what reason, it just is. And you'll have to admit that most everything that's been attempted in the last 4 years has just been a dumpster fire, and this is no different. So, and I wouldn't have expected any less. So, we don't know how to run anything. We don't have people who know how to run anything. So that's why this will continue to be a disaster. My doctor with Atrium said he didn't know, said, call him back the first week of February, he might know something then. So obviously, this
Well,
is,
here's to Pitt County and Burke County for taking care of their teachers. That's great.
Mm-hmm. But Charlotte won't, because it doesn't matter.
No,
We'll
absolutely
just
it
roll them
doesn't.
out of the way and get somebody else. Teachers have never mattered in Charlotte and won't ever matter. They're not part of the political equation in Charlotte. What in the world?
Well,
We're going to go ahead and get started here. Hunter said he might join us, and I told him I'd wait a few extra minutes. He said something about a ball game, so I don't want to hold y'all up sitting here talking on that. So, Taskstream. Taskstream, it's like I was telling, on Legacy Town Hall this week, and the new student town hall last week. Taskstream is simply a repository. It is for the DRF portfolio, which has the 6 evidences, the dispositions, and all that. That's for DPI. We have to send that to them. And embedded in that is the competency folio, which we create separately. We actually have them created. But that separate piece, the reason I pulled it out is standard 2 on CAPE speaks to clinical experiences. They wanted something that proved, in absence of us, having all that paperwork from people like you two who have interns. Y'all aren't thankfully old enough to remember the early days of the Principal Fellows program, when every Friday I had to go to a meeting and I had more paperwork to fill out than the intern did. Well, principals, that's why the Principal Fellow program crashed. They're trying to revive it now. Well, what is it? What's his name? Eddie Price and that bunch are trying to revive it. And they've merged that alternative TP3 with Principal Fellows. They've invited us to participate. I'm not interested. But there has to be a way that DPI that grants the license has some way to know that they actually were an intern at their school and they weren't just pretending to be. And so,
may I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm confused. We have Principal Fellows, so is that just like a university has them?
No, they started back 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, okay, sorry.
Yeah, and most of them came. East Carolina's had the bulk of them.
Right.
They started back 2 years ago. No, they suspended it forever because principals like me screamed and yelled and pitched a fit and said, we'll never do this again. In 1998, I had one, Pedro Brasinho. And Ron and I had one. And boy, they both turned out not to be very good. Andrew Thiel was his. If you remember Andrew, he's the one that jacked the kid up over at McClintock on camera, assaulted the kid. They fired him.
Yeah, I do remember that name.
He was Ron's, and then Pedro was mine. He's the one that was having an affair with the teacher. She claimed rape or sexual assault or whatever. They were both married, and they drummed him out. So,
well, I was in 2000, and I don't remember Mark having a bunch of paperwork.
He did. He just didn't do it.
Well, we would spend Friday afternoons and I would organize his paperwork.
Well, there you go. Well, see, you did it. I know he didn't. You didn't have to tell me that part. You did all that. But the
We
problem
would Friday
is,
afternoons was me organizing his paperwork.
yeah, every Friday, you had to go through it every Friday. You had to sit down and do that. And then what was it? Once or twice a month, you actually went to a meeting. But every Friday, you had to do all that paperwork, the week's end wrap up of everything the intern had done. So he just had you do your own. Well, but y'all had a relationship. I had
Yeah.
somebody that I knew that if I turned it over to him, he'd write down just ridiculously stupid things and he'd get us both, fired. I did not have a good one. Let's be clear here. And so it went away for a long time. It came back 2 years ago. They've had 2 classes so far, and they're supposed to have their 3rd class this fall. I don't know. And so Eddie Price, but they have moved that TP3 in with them as well. And so that is, one of the things about that was always the hallmark is that person was a full-time intern and you knew that they were getting the experience. Well, the current model is not to be a full-time intern other than the principal fellow, is that you work your regular job and you get at least 1 hour a day, 80 hours a semester, which is averages 1 hour a day. Well, now that DPI has adopted CAPE, we've got through CAPE in the spring of 2019, and I was in charge of Standard 2. And so what I did was I set up a web folio inside of Taskstream, separate and apart from the DRF portfolio, for them to put artifacts, just like when y'all get evaluated, you have your evidence, your written narrative of what you do that you gave the superintendent or the area superintendent, but you also have artifacts, school improvement plan, your budget, that they have a list of those. Well, what Kate wanted was, we want to see artifacts. If these people actually did do this stuff and they tell us they did, they write their competency analysis and all that, we want to see artifacts that prove that they actually did a clinical experience. So I created that. Now, what I have them to do is I walk them in their first semester. I walk them through building. I do Taskstream. I'll do it on the 28th. I'll do the first Taskstream night, and I'll do 2 or 3, 4.5 fast go pick it up. And one of the things that we'll do is I'll have them, and I'll show you tonight, I'll have them build their competency folio. And the reason why we do it that way is then they become the owner. They can publish and share it either in PDF or as a link with prospective employers. Also, we can download them and send them to CAPE. That's that as well. But also they can download them and submit their Gardner Web transcript and get their digital teaching and learning renewal credits from doing this as well. And so that's one piece of it. That's the minor piece, but I've gone into this long-winded detail. That's the piece that I want y'all working on with mine this time. I'll handle the evidence work initially. I may pull you in later on it, but what I want you to be able to do is to help them with their artifacts. Make sure that they're appropriate, that they've categorized them appropriately, that you can see that whatever they put in there makes sense, that they've got a picture, an agenda, minutes, something that they've done, that it matches that particular of the 21 competencies. Yeah, that is a communication competency, or no, we can't see any communication in that. That's what we're looking for you to check those all, make sure they do something that looks somewhat reasonable. And so in the end, that's where we're going to spend the majority of time. So let me walk you into Taskstream and we'll look at both that folio and the portfolio. Now, I create the portfolio for them. They don't have to do anything but upload their work. That's their evidences and all their other things. So let me walk you through that right now. Let me share my screen. And here are some tricks about working with Taskstream. Always go to Chrome when you're working in Taskstream. Who's emailing me? Oh my God. Okay. All right, so make sure you switch browsers over to Chrome, Taskstream. Now, they should have sent you a link to establish your account. I've already logged you in. You do have an account for Gardner Webb. Here's one of the bad things about Taskstream. I am the inter-rater reliability person. We no longer pay 2 people to grade. And so in order to be able to grade, I have to enable pop-ups. That's one of the things. That's why I said go to a different browser, go to Chrome. I work in Microsoft Edge and I don't have to worry about pop-ups all the time polluting my screen. But if I turn off my pop-up blocker, if I turn on my pop-up blocker and keep all these things from popping up, then I can't grade in Taskstream. That's just one of the quirks of the system. So when you get to Watermark, you have to turn your pop-up blocker off and use Chrome, and you log in. And again, Watermark bought Taskstream, and so you have to make sure you choose Taskstream when you log in. You'll have a username. Now, when you go in, you will have, there are 4 different levels of access in Taskstream. Author is the student. Reviewer, that's the access level that you have right now, and you're able to review their competency folio. Evaluator, you can, I'm going to put you in as evaluator so you can go in and look and see, but I'm going to turn off the comments. I haven't done it yet because I want to talk to you first. Right now, you have access to go in and review competency folios. But I'm going to give you evaluator access where you can go in and look in their DRF portfolio and see, what evidences they've done, their competency analysis, internship logs, all that other stuff that they do. Now, I'm going to turn off the notifications, the email notifications to you so that you won't get a notice to evaluate that work. But now, best laid plans of mice and men. Sometimes you still get notified to evaluate something. Please remember, you will never evaluate anything this semester. So if you get a notice to evaluate something, that is incorrect, even though it will let you in to do it because I'm going to give you that access. That's the only way you can see inside that DRF portfolio. So when you open up Taskstream, you're only going to have one of these DRFs. You're only going to have one. I've got everybody's in every discipline everywhere. You're only going to have one. You're going to have spring. You're going to have add-on, school administrative add-on, spring 21 is what you're going to have. I have created those DRFs. Let me go back. Let's see if it'll go back. Come on. Let's see. I'm gonna have to go back and select it to make it show up on my board. But it's gonna say school admin add-on spring 2021. That's the one that you will have access to. So I'll just click on this one. And so, let me move that out of the way. So when you go in, so I'm gonna give you access, evaluator level access. So when you go in, you'll be able to see all the groups, the students that are in your section. You'll be able to see where they are on their AppSell, their AppTel. They should have already completed both of those, and they should have done their competency analysis and their school of ed dispositions. Now, this is what they were supposed to have completed in MEL 601. If you go in and you see students who don't have one of these 4 things, you need to send them an email and copy me saying, you didn't complete this last semester. We need to get this done as soon as possible. School of Ed dispositions, that's a self-disposition. They just got to take it. Competency analysis, they just have to go in and feel that there's not really anything to do other than check a few boxes in that one either. But copy me on those. But this is what they were supposed to do last semester. That's part of the coach's responsibility, is to check to make sure that they're on pace. We don't do it at the end of the semester because a lot of that work comes in at the beginning of the next semester after the break. We do allow them to catch up over the break. We don't close Blackboard other than when it's down for maintenance, and we don't close Taskstream ever. We let them continue to work. So, but they were, the deal was, is if we let them go on to 603, we didn't let them go supposedly if they had not completed the app sale and the app sale. But make sure that all 4 of these items are complete with all the interns that you have. That's the first check that you do in the DRF portfolio. And then this is what they'll do with us this semester, the OMA, the SKIP, and they'll do a disposition, self-disposition again to see if their dispositional behaviors and skills have grown any. And then next semester, they'll do the CAP, the SIOP, dispositions, and a competency analysis. And they'll do a completer survey at the end. We have to collect data on them. They'll move their competency folio out of the web folio over here, and they have a video, it's only 2.5 minutes, that I've made and to remind them how to do that. They have to, once it's complete, once their web folio, their competency web folio is complete, they have to move it over here for it to be evaluated. And then this is where they put all 5 of their internship logs in. Now, about half of them will put their semester logs here, and I have to send them back. This is where, we don't do any comments in this. Everything comes here for evaluation. This is what goes to DPI for their license. This is not a place where we work and give feedback. This is evaluation only. And that's another reason why I set up the web folio, the competency folio separate. We can do work in there and we can give comments on it. But this was never designed to be, this is an evaluation. We run an analysis or report from this, convert it to Excel spreadsheet, and this is what we have to send to DPI for their license. Now, they can also access this too, by the way, and see it. So we don't work in the DRF portfolio. They just put work here for evaluation. And then that's it. So all of these things, and so just like at last night's Legacy Town Hall, you remember I talked about the first deadline at 4 weeks. That's through the SIOP right here. And then they've got 2 more weeks after that to do the rest of this stuff. Finish their dispositions, their competency analysis, the survey, finish out the last round of competencies in their competency folio, get their internship log signed and uploaded. They've got 2 weeks to do that. So it's very important that we pace them this semester, because our group is only going to have 6 weeks in the summer until that first deadline. The first Monday in July, everything up through the SIOP is due. And then 2 weeks later, all the rest of this stuff is due. And I have to make a call at the end of the 3rd week, beginning of the 4th week of July. I have to make a call, yay or nay, whether they get to finish or not. I mean, it has to be done. I mean, that Monday before graduation on Saturday, she gives me till Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. And at Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, I have to send her the final completer list. So as you can see, as you start backing that up, it takes a couple of weeks to do all this stuff. Once they finish the SIOP, all the rest of this stuff does take a couple of weeks. I mean, that's what they have to do at the end. And too many of them run right up against the timeline on the evidences, and then they don't do their work in 605. And that makes it really difficult. And that's why I said, if we can pace them this semester and keep them going, and we can get them through the OMA and the SKIP in 12 weeks and have 4 weeks at the end to get them started on their CAP, we'll have a whole lot better chance of getting them through this summer. But if they start the summer needing to do the CAP and the SIOP, the last 2, and that's 10 tasks, and all this other stuff, as you can see, that they have to do behind it, especially as involved as that competency folio is, they don't make it. And, you know, our benchmark for to be a provider for NCDPI is 85%. At least 85% of all of the folks that we take in our program have to complete on time. Now we're running at about 95 right now, but there's a reason why. We plan ahead. And by the time that we get them in 603 this semester, I'm going to be interested to see their writing, as I am every semester. But right now, as we speak, they're in class. The new ones, the new add-ons are in class right now. But they had the first of optional sessions at 6 this evening. We've partnered with the library, and they do a professional development on APA, 7th edition. They can go either tonight, they could have gone tonight at 6, or they can go Thursday night at 6. And Natalie or Pam, one of the librarians, Dr. Dennis or Dr. Bishop, they do a whole series of workshops with them. The first one was tonight, and the alternative for this week is on Thursday. So that has speeded up the process as well, in that we're being much more intentional. We partnered with the library to train them in APA, especially 7th edition, since it's now first person active rather than third person passive. And so hopefully our folks, they got through 2 evidences last semester. We won't have trouble, hopefully, with 7th edition or with APA, hanging indent, all that kind of stuff. And that makes it go a lot faster. So when I give you people, when we're reviewing their work, we have some help in that. But what usually, if they're just missing a piece, I tell them, put this in and send it back to me. But we got to keep them going. We got to keep the line moving. It's just like an assembly line. If we stop, the whole thing bogs down, because of the way that everything works now in this. But this is what you will see in their portfolio. And right now we'll assume it may change, but we'll assume, is when I was working on the summer schedule last night, my assumption was, and what I kept is, y'all kept these students for next semester. Now we could change that, but we'll assume that you will keep them. And so first thing you do this semester is you make sure that they finish these 4 things last semester. Your job this semester is to make sure they finish these 3 things. And then if you keep them for the summer, then you have to make sure that they do all of this and all of that. That's your job as their coach, and to work with them on their writing. That's what your job is. That's for the DRF portfolio. Now, instead of going into, let me go back out of Taskstream here. I'm going to actually and every time you leave Taskstream, sign out. Don't ever let it time you out, because if you do, it'll make you stay out for 6 hours before it'll let you back in. Don't time out Taskstream. That's just another one of those quirks again of the program. So even if you're just leaving for, like me, every hour to get up and go pee, sign out. Don't let it time you out. And it's really easy to do, because you're working in a different browser. And when you come back, you click on over here where your email is and all that. You're answering your emails. You go over in Blackboard, you're catching your private email. The next thing you know, 90 minutes has elapsed and it expires. You go to get back in, it says your session has expired. Please log back in. And when you go to get back in, it just sets and spins for 6 hours. So make sure you're doing that. My regular bunch that asks questions every day, 3 or 4. And so when you come out and check your email, sign out, and then come back in, sign back in. All right, so now to go to the competency folio, instead of going inside the DRF, that you'll have one there from spring of 21. Come up here to folios and web pages. Click on it. Now, what they learned to do this semester, and there could be one that slipped through the cracks that didn't create one of these last semester. And if they didn't, I've got a link to a video on how to set one up as well. But it's really simple. You can see I've set up dozens of them. I do them, when I do training sessions, I set them up. You just type in a name, create new, custom templates designed by your learning community. I have standardized the template. It is competencies for 21st century leaders. That's the template that they're to use to build their portfolio. Continue. They get to pick what they want to look like. I want a dinosaur in that. Apply. Preview. And there it is. So it's just that simple. And then there's sign out, sign back in, and they'll just have one. I'll have to find the one that I just did. They'll just have one. There it is. Okay, that's the one I just created. All right, so when they open it up, they've got the 21 competencies over here. Now, there's also one that says digital learning competencies. They don't have to put anything there. That's just for so that they'll know what they are. Here are the 18 digital learning competencies. What I have done for them already on the 21 competencies, I have embedded those digital competencies in there for them. So like under communication. So during the 3 semesters that they're with us, they have to upload three artifacts, the app sale, the SIOP, and an open-ended one. One of these 3 must satisfy the following digital learning competency. Now, I figured out where I thought they all best were at. Kate got on us about this. Digital learning competencies are not something that are separate. They were supposed to be integrated in the 21 competencies. They weren't supposed to be something that we pulled out separately. They were supposed to be integrated. And so that was a big deal with them. So I have integrated them. So when they click on these 3, one of them's got to be from the app sale, one from when they did the SIOP, and one open-ended. Now, I have crosswalked all these for them. They have these documents there in our Blackboard shell that tells them where they will find what artifacts that they should generate from the work that they do, just like the evaluation manual for principals does. It says, if you do this work from this standard, you will have generated these artifacts. We do the same thing with them. I have crosswalked them, and from their list of suggested activities from their internship, that's open-ended. In the clinical handbook, I've got a list of activities for both when school's in session or you're virtual. And I've crosswalked those, and also from every one of their evidences by doing, for example, when they send an email to their principal requesting permission to form a PLC, that's the very first thing they do in their first app sale evidence. They did that last semester. That's an example of a digital learning communication competency because they used email to do it. So that's an artifact, that actual screenshot, that PNG, that screenshot of that email, that's all we want, that artifact. And so that's what that is. So that would be, that would be an artifact from the app sale. That is digital as well. Open-ended might be a parent meeting that they had to discuss COVID or discuss, family math night or something like that. An agenda from that, or an electronic or a Facebook post would be a digital competency from that. And so each one of them tells them one of these 3, app sale, SIOP, one open-ended, must meet the following digital competencies: conflict management, So it's spelled out. So you say, well, Dale, what am I looking for? It tells you. So when they request comments on a communication, you know right here is what it, here are the directions for them and for you as to what it should look like. Now, I am going to send you right now. I hadn't sent it previously because, again, I'm going to switch over to this browser right quick. I'm going to send you a link to Aneras. I've got some that are better, that are newer, but I've got permission to use this one. All right, so I am going to forward both of you this email. And when you click on this link, and there is some competency folio. Aha, there it is. You see that? So this is what it looks like at the end. So, you know, again, you got the directions, but this is what it should look like. There should be a short blurb about what, you know, where it came from and what it is. I don't need, you don't have, they're not to argue for competency here. They get a chance, they have a place to argue for their that they met their competency. This is simply an explanation of what they've uploaded, and here are the actual artifacts. That's how it's supposed to look. It's just that simple. This doesn't have to be hard. But unfortunately, they have to wait till the end of the semester when they finish their evidences. Now, the good ones, halfway through, and just like this semester, the students that are on the ball, when they finish their OMA, they can go in and start and do artifacts generated through doing that. But mostly they wait till the end of the semester when they have completed both of their evidences to see what they got and then start plugging them in. That's kind of the way it works. And that's what I was talking about. This summer, it gets really, time gets tight. It takes a little while to do that. We can't have them do it at kind of as they go. They might put in an open-ended one here or there, but these are kind of, you have to kind of see what you got and figure out best place that they fit. It's kind of like a puzzle. And so 2 weeks or so from the end of the semester, they have all their artifacts in place. I mean, they've got them all now. You know, they've done all their activities for school. They've done all that. And then they kind of figure out, all right, where does this fit best? You know, what does this one call for? What have I got? You know, some of them, you know, there's a lady over at Carmel, and I'm having a senior moment. Katie Kofeld. I think she's a guidance counselor, or anyway over there. She did a matrix. And I thought it was more confusing than just trying to figure it out at the end about how how to plug the different ones in at different places.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a little bit over the top, but I mean, if you're smart enough to figure that kind of stuff out, you can do this. I mean, you don't need help. But each one of these, you know, again, that if they will identify which one are the digital learning competencies and highlight them, they can send this link and their transcript and get their digital teaching and learning competency CEUs of credit. So we want them to do that. And then again, you can see down at the bottom all these different things that they've attached. And so you just have to look at them and say, does that make sense? This is a communication competency and it's digital. Well, you put flyers in a mailbox. Would that be a digital communication? It'd be a communication, but it wouldn't be digital. And not putting flyers in a mailbox. That's the kind of stuff that you'll be doing with them. But this is really important, not just for CAPE and as a part of their DRL portfolio. This has become a really big hit with prospective employers. They love this. They can kind of see, you can kind of tell if somebody gets it or not by looking at one of these really quickly, what kind of experience they had as an intern. You know, when you look at this stuff, if it's all just paperwork kind of stuff, then they were just a paper tiger. They didn't really do very much of anything. But if they've got pictures, you know, screenshots, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the things that they've done, then they're pretty active. They're pretty active. And so these have become very, very popular. So
Okay, so we're gonna we're going to check to see that they finished everything from 601. And if they didn't,
But now that's in the DRF
right,
portfolio.
but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, what we've done so far, we're gonna make sure that they've done that, and if they haven't, we're
Right.
gonna notify them. And
Right,
then a second task of ours would be
you're going,
when we get a notification
go in and
about
look.
these artifacts, we'll go in and look,
Yeah,
but we'll get a
now,
notification
yeah.
from them to do that, right?
Well, now what I'm gonna do is, the quirk of this competency folio is, you can't go in and look at it like you can the DRF portfolio initially. Now, once they have requested comments from you the first time, and let me move like this, you can see this button right here.
Mhm,
Once they put an artifact in
mhm.
and request comments from you, from that point forward, you can go anytime you want and look at their competency folio. But you
Okay.
can't do it the first time until they request comments the first time. It's just a
Okay.
quirk in the program. Now you can go look at their DRF portfolio anytime you want to.
Okay.
It's already there and built and ready for you to look at. You have access to it now.
Well, I'm just wanting to make sure I don't miss anything,
So
but
when you go to
but they'll let us know when they're ready for us to
yes,
go in and
you
look.
won't, I've got the email notification turned on. And
Okay.
so when you go to Taskstream, you're gonna see fall 2020, school administration, fall 2020. So this is gonna be school administration, fall 2020. This is your group right here that's in 601. That's
So I'm in
603
Taskstream.
right now.
I'm in
Yeah, you-
Taskstream as I'm looking with y'all,
Yeah,
and you said go to evaluator.
you know,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
if you click on the evaluator button, do you have a DRF down below it there?
I have, it says spring 2016.
Yeah, you've got an old one. That's why I said I haven't added you as an evaluator yet. I'm
Okay.
gonna do that.
All right.
That's why I said I didn't want you going in until you knew what you were doing.
Okay.
Again, if you start an evaluation and you're not supposed to do it, it'll let you start it, but it won't let you complete it, and then it hangs. And I
Okay.
have to go in and try to unhang it. And
Okay.
sometimes it takes overnight, and sometimes I have to call Taskstream.
Gotcha.
It's according to how long it's been hung. And so that's one of those things that I wanted to make sure that we were looking at one another when I said, don't try to evaluate anything in the DRF portfolio. So I
Okay,
will
so
go in and
you'll
add
fix
y'all.
us so we can go in and just
Right.
look to see if
Well,
they've
you can go in and
completed.
look, you'll have this is the one you'll have right here under evaluator tab. Now under
Right.
reviewer tab, you'll have the same thing, but you can't go in anybody's until they request comments from you, and then you can see what they've got, see previous comments from last semester, and see what they don't have. Now, what I'm going to try to do this coming week, tomorrow night, if both of y'all are in there now, either this week or next week, I was going to tell them to all go to their competency and request comments from y'all, make sure that you were there, and that would give you access to everybody.
Okay.
So
Okay, great.
that's the plan. So remind me to do that tomorrow night. So both of you should be, if you're both in there, if she's established, and you've established your account, she enrolled you and I put you in as reviewer. So what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah, I see the reviewer for it.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll make a note to remind you to
Make a
tell
note to
them.
remind me to have
I
them
will.
all
I'm doing it
open
right now.
and request comments from y'all. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to. All right.
All right. I've got a note. We're set.
All right. We're good. All right. Let me go.
Yeah, for reviewer, it's the fall of 2020 for me.
That's correct. And
yeah,
reviewer and the DRF that you will be able to go in
right.
as. So let me.
Okay.
Come on, open up here. Let me go in right.
Okay, so not 2021, so it's going to be the fall of
No, it's going to be
2020.
fall of 20.
Okay.
Fall of 20 is what you're going. That's the group that y'all got right now. That's the group that we got. We brought.
Okay,
the
that makes
fall of
sense.
20 copy.
Okay.
All right, get out of that.
I guess fall of 2021 doesn't exist yet.
Well, it
that's right.
does. We've already got them in there. I built those as well. All right, let me go in. Let me go in here. All right, so that's school administration fall 20. All right. All right, so Sheena, you've got section 10, the old section 10.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can see I've already put you in as a reviewer. I'm going to
Okay.
add you as an evaluator.
Okay.
Select from. Uh-oh. Get out of my way so I can see it. Quit it. Okay, so that's all right. So I'm gonna have to go back here. Yeah, y'all weren't in here when I tried to do this before. All right, let me find you, search, add you as an evaluator. I'm gonna let you see all the areas. All right, and then evaluator. Okay, I've added you. Now I've got to put you with the groups that you're with. Okay, let me go back and change your prior. I'm gonna go back. No, no, no. Okay, Sheena, you're 10. So I'm gonna add members to the group from the evaluator list that I just added y'all to. I love it when a plan comes together. All right, so you're now on the evaluator list for that group. You can see their fall 2020 DRF portfolio now. All right, and so Cindy, Kathy, Danny, I'm gonna take these two people out. They're former people now that I've added you, and Anna, you get 12. Me and you, and then I add you to the evaluator list.
So now we can go in and see if they're
Yeah.
all up to speed
Yeah.
with everything
And
they
so
should
I'm
know.
gonna take Jackie out. I'm gonna leave me and you and Mark, and I'm gonna take Robin out. The people from last semester, I just took them out. So now when you go to section C10, you're the only reviewer. I'm gonna make myself a reviewer as well. But I'm gonna tell them tomorrow night, don't pick me. But this way, if they request comments, I can go in and see when there's something wrong. I'll make myself a checked group. All right. And I already did that with you, with your group, Anna. So that's it. And so here's the group that you have, Sheena. You have Yolanda, Robbie, Helen, Monique, Veronica, Latasha, Ursula, Sandra, Rachel, Jeannie, Evan, Kimberly. I think
I have a couple that are not started on stuff.
I think Jeannie is Jeannie didn't ever, she only registered because she told them she would go back to get her administrative if they would hire her as an alternative school principal in Shelby. And as soon as they hired her, she no-showed last semester.
I got Veronica Gainey, Ursula Jacob Guidry, Jenny, and Jessica Stokes that haven't done anything.
Right, they all dropped. I can take them out, but I leave them. I usually leave them in.
Okay.
Because if they re-enroll, there were no shows. That meant, so a lot of times they'll come back later.
Mhm.
And so if I take them out, then she has to re-enroll them when they come back.
So before we email anybody, should we check with you in case they were no-shows?
Yeah,
Okay. Like if
And
we
so,
see somebody that's missing,
if they don't have anything from last semester, they're a no-show.
okay,
and also, if I'm looking at it correctly, I can kind of see that who's kind of a weaker, who might need a little bit more coaching
There
just from
you
their
go.
scores. It's
There
like
you go.
Shalise Wine, she's probably my weakest one of them all.
Yeah, that would be, you would be correct there.
Okay.
All right, so I am going to look at,
And
okay,
Robbie Charles.
all right. So as you can see right here, Sheena, I have enabled you to get an email from reviewers when they want
Right.
request comments. I have disabled you as an evaluator. Now
Right.
that doesn't mean you can't evaluate. It means that you won't get an email.
Okay.
So, and Anna, I'm sure that I've done the same with you as well.
okay. And you said later on down the line, we might do some evaluating, but you're not gonna have us doing it right
That's
now.
correct. Well, the rules are if you're coaching people, you can't evaluate them.
Okay.
Well, that makes
Remember,
sense.
we initially, when we first started in 2010, we had 2 evaluators, and one of them was their coach. And then we had a third person to do inter-rater reliability that reconciled the two. But that costs money. You have to pay all those positions. And so now there has to be a system for inter-rater reliability. And so that would now be me. So what that means is I'm supposed to do a certain percentage at random. I'm supposed to go in and evaluate a certain percentage of the evidence work to make sure that it's, where it needs to be. And then in the end, if there's an issue, I'm the one that makes the call at the end. But we didn't do that because we have, that I'm all knowing and all seeing. It saves money. It cut $100 a student a semester out to do that. And that's several $100,000 a year. So
Now for me, I don't want to evaluate. I mean, if I evaluate, I would like to make sure somebody does it behind me to see if we're all on the same page. I'll be very honest.
Absolutely.
If you eventually move into that role, I'll do the same kind of thing with you. We'll set,
Gotcha.
We do rubrics and we teach you what to look for and all that stuff.
Right.
We
Right.
do the same thing, the same kind of training. I mean, you're getting tonight is introduction to Taskstream, the difference between a portfolio and a folio, competency
Gotcha.
folio and a portfolio. And so we're looking now at the work. That's why I sent you an Aaron's work. It's kind of middle of the road. Some of that we've had in the last few semesters is much better. Some that, squeaks by is a little bit worse, but we don't want them just stick. One of the things that they'll try to do is use one artifact 8 or 10 times. You'll hear the question. You're going to be asked this question. How many times can I use that same picture? And I'll tell them twice. Only use it twice.
And what is the lowest that you like? Is 3 like the lowest usually for somebody to score on something, or is they can get lower than that?
Well, on this, when we're looking at them, it's kind of a met, not met, pass, fail. You think it's good enough, because in the end, that entire competency folio is going to be on a pass fail basis. It's going to be on a met, not met. It's not going to be scored numerically like the evidences are. It's just going to be, is it passing or not? So proficiency is all that. Because here's the argument for that, and I made the argument. Everybody doesn't have the same access during their administrative internship. Some people, the principal gets them and takes them, and they get to do 1,000 wonderful things during their internship. Some of them, all they do is bus duty. Let's be honest. And so, but there has to be a minimum standard. But I don't feel good about punishing people based on their access. I want to either, that there's a certain level they have to achieve, but we can't hold it against them. But their principal's a turd, and all they do is bus duty. And I've literally, now this is not figurative. I literally have had this to happen. So I went to visit George Fishburne. There was an issue with George. So I get on my high horse and I take off. When you get to Whiteville, North Carolina, and you both know where Whiteville is, you head south like you're going to Conway. And just before you get to the state line, there's a little community called Williams Township. It's the last little school going down that way, heading toward Conway, South Carolina. And I went down there because the issue was George Fishburne was the intern. This is a lot of years ago. And he had a little over 400 hours that he'd gotten during his 5 semesters. 385 of his 400 hours were bus duty. And, I went in and I said, well, what's wrong with you? I love George, but highly recommend George. And I said, but all you let George do was bus duty. He said, well, that's really about all he's competent to do. But you just said that you highly recommend him. Oh, not for a job, just to get through this. Oh, I would never recommend him for a job. Oh, and I thought, well, what a turd you are. But yeah, so what he saw George for 2 years was just a way to get free bus duty off.
Yeah.
He gave him a whistle like Barney, made him carry his bullet in his pocket and, let him be the bus lot supervisor and told him he was, but, oh God, no, he can't be an AP. And I'm like, well, this is an abuse. And so now I'd like to be able to tell you that that's an anomaly, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the quality of their portfolio is dependent upon the quality of access that they have in their school to be an intern. Now, their evidence is not so much. I mean, that's on them. That's either you worked hard or you didn't, and did what you needed to do. But their artifact portfolio. So it's, if it makes sense and it looks reasonable, then, but if it's, don't wonk them on it. Don't get down in the weeds. But it can't be the same picture over and over again. Twice. If you see the same picture more than twice, then it's, that's a no bueno.
Well, then couldn't that open up a conversation with them about what is going on in your internship and what kind of opportunities are you having?
Exactly. What that tells you is they're not getting many opportunities if they're having to use the same picture or the same.
And then the question that begs the question, why? Is it because you're not competent, or is it just because your person is lazy and they're not giving you the opportunities?
They're giving you anything to do, you're not getting any access. See, that's what's important to us. I mean, this puts a check in the box for CAPE and DPI, okay. But what's important to us is, are our people getting quality experiences or not?
Right,
that's
because
as you heard me say Monday night, that's going to depend. That's going to have a tremendous bearing on what kind of administrator you turn out to be. Is what kind of access and what you got during your clinical internship. And this is a way for us to know if they're getting it or not. I mean, they can write some of the most beautiful evidences in the world, but that they may be, like that fellow down in Smithfield. He was living in his parents' basement, didn't even have a job. And I finally told him,
that's my neck of the woods.
I know. I think he was your cousin.
Lord, I hope not. I don't know anybody living in a basement.
Yeah, and so, but seriously, because we're an online program, the reason why we go out and visit people in their schools is there's a lot of fraud. And as soon as we tell them we're coming to visit, we get a lot to drop out. Some of them, they actually have a friend that's an administrator signed their form. But when we tell them you have to actually be an intern at your school. So we had this guy, and I was working out of Goldsboro at the time. And he kept putting me off about making a school visit. And I finally said, I'm going to be in Goldsboro at the high school. And I said, you're to come see me. But if I can't come visit you at your school in the next 10 days, I'm going to exit you from the program. And of course, we never heard from him again. And come to find out, I went to the school and they said, we never heard of him. He doesn't work here. He was just some 35-year-old guy that was literally 35-year-old guy that had gone to college online and had never moved out of his parents' house and was had what is that syndrome where you can't be around crowds? But that he he had falsified his documents that he was a teacher at an elementary school there in Johnston County. Now his mother was, so he
That's
knew
a-
how to play the game, but
that's a Dateline episode.
yeah, it really is. It
Well, that's
really
just
is.
embarrassing to me because that's all my stomping ground. That's where I grew
Well,
up.
you know, he wasn't that far out of the norm for that bunch there. There at Princeton.
Well,
And
but
Wilson
especially
Street
if
on
you're
that end
talking
of the
about
county.
Goldsboro High School, I wouldn't have any expectations coming out of there.
Well, that's what I mean, that whole area through there. That's a tough bunch. I had a whole group at Princeton High School.
I'm not
I
going to tell you
know.
where I'm from then, because it's real bad.
Okay, come on,
Mhm.
Sheena. I'm
I
from
live-
Princeton.
No, I live in Pitt County, but I'm from Washington County.
Yeah, now that's
Oh,
not, Little Washington's in Beaufort.
yeah, this
And-
is Washington County.
And
Plymouth.
Washington County's on the other side of the river, isn't it?
Yeah, Plymouth, Crestwell. I'm actually from a place called Pea Ridge.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think I coughed up a turkey feather a while ago. I got in Plymouth a couple years ago. That's the only place that I've ever been that their meat lover pizza had turkey on it. I can't make that up. I used to stay when I worked the northeastern part of the state. I'd go out. I'd leave Rocky Mount and go out through Jonesville, and then when I would go to what is it? Where I would go right across, what is it, Manio?
Uh-huh.
Just there at the start of the Outer Banks.
Yes.
I would come back
Columbia.
and I'd go up to Moyock, or they call it Moyock. which is-
Moyock, Currituck.
Yeah, when I'd work up in there, but I would always try to get back to Plymouth, that Holiday Inn Express right there on the side of the road
Mm.
with all the turkey trucks. And there's a little strip mall across the street with, what is it, a Sir Pizza or something there? Because that's usually the only place that's open after dark. Everything else is boarded up and locked down in Plymouth.
Yeah. Mm.
I didn't know Sir
Weyerhaeuser.
Pizza was a chain.
There's
Yeah.
not a, I don't know if it's Sir Pizza there.
There's a little pizza place right, and it's inside of that strip mall right across.
Mama's Pizza.
The
There's a Mama's Pizza. That's about it in Plymouth.
but it's not in the mall. It's in the parking lot. You know how they build, and it's kind of up against the highway there, 64, whatever the name. I thought it was a Sir Pizza.
There's a Pizza Hut that just burned down.
No, this was a more of a local kind of thing. And seriously, they put nice turkey on the meat lovers pizza there. Quite unique.
Well,
Yeah.
that's healthy at least.
But you just walk outside and me within 5 minutes I'm sneezing almost uncontrollably. All that, the dust from the turkey feathers, that's just in the air. I mean, it's just thick in the air.
Well, you got Weyerhaeuser there too.
Yeah, that don't help either. And so I went up to see the Jim Catfish Hunter Bridge
That's Hertford.
in Hertford.
Yeah.
When you leave there, you can go up there, and you can throw a rock from one end to the other. I thought it was going to be this big, bridge like you saw, like going over the Alligator River, one of those big high, no, it's just like a little 2-lane bridge. It's got the length of 2 cars. You can throw a rock underhanded from, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. I actually went there. I Googled it to go see this great landmark up in Hertford. Catfish Hunter, the great baseball player. I went to see his bridge. It's this little country road, a little 2-lane bridge, about 2 car lengths long, out in the middle of nowhere. There's not even a building in sight at this place.
Yeah.
And I thought it used to be one of those big, nice bridges, but no.
I actually tell people I'm from Eatonton because I'm closer to Eatonton than I am Plymouth.
Yeah, but I know exactly where. All right, so I have gone in and done all of your permissions. I have to log out. We've only got one single sign-in login for the Taskstream administrator, so I just went and did that. So you should be where you need to be. You should be able to get into the DRF portfolio and see where they are. You should, when they request comments now, you should be able to go in. And so let me log out of that, and then we can log back into my other account here. I have to log out of that one. All right, so now in our shell, let me go over to our shell. Box, let's come in. Good. All right, so in our shell, what I have for them, and it's important that we go in together, so because they'll ask you this. So you should have, do y'all have access to my class shell yet?
I did, but I don't anymore.
They drive me crazy. I was on the phone with Emily for an hour today. They just drive me crazy. All right, so I will send you these documents then, just in case.
But I would love to have access because I do find it helpful. I just feel like it's
I
one
may
more.
be able to upload them in your they may be in, we'll look and see if they're in your, I think I might have put them in your shell already, your shell, but in my shell, so let me go here. Where's my doc? Come on. That's not a good sign. All right, so over here where it says Mel's Handbook and Competency Folio Resources in my shell. All right, so open-ended competency artifact proofs for the competency folio, where it says 3 or, AppSell, SOP, open-ended, they'll say, well, what's an open-ended? So I crosswalk in. Oh God, Taskstream, I knew it was wonky tonight. That's my own shell. So let me go back here. And there's one from the 6 evidences. So let me go in and pull those up and show them to you right quick.
So I have all that.
Yeah, you should have it.
Yeah.
Should be in your shell. And it's just a crosswalk that tells you, because they'll say, well, I don't know where to find these artifacts. Well, if we could look at that right quick. Let's see. Let's see. Open. Come on. Open up. There we go. All right. So open-ended. So here are the things, if they do these, and I've got it down, if they address a SMART or law group, I've crosswalked, these are the competencies that they would meet. So this is open-ended. This is the old traditional one. And then we've done them a new one as well for virtual things, but they fall along the same line. So this is crosswalk with these. If they participate in the curriculum materials adoption process, a meeting that would be visionary, creative thinking, attend a school board meeting, system thinking. So if they've done any of these things, I tell them, put it under this. Now, obviously they could go under any number of them, but what I tried to do was find ways to get the very communication, conflict management, stuff like that is really easy. Where they have trouble is, what is system thinking? What is creative thinking? What is visionary? So I went in and did this so that things that I know that they're going to do, and they'll struggle figuring out what is something having to do with sensitivity. I have categorized about 5 of these. If you leave them to their own devices, they'll never have one for them because they don't know what it means. And so I did this to make sure that, hey, if you attend a student assistance team meeting, put that down as your sensitivity competency. Yeah, you could use it for any 3 or 4 different things, but it's hard to find one on sensitivity. Use that one for that. So I have done this. Now, they do the same things, but if they do them virtually, so this list is, even if they attend it virtually, this is the open-ended. So that's what they're going to say. What's an open-ended competency for creative thinking? Well, curriculum materials adoption. There you go. Did you participate in that? Well, yeah. Well, there you go. What artifact was generated? Do you have a roll, a roster? Do you took a picture during the meeting of you in the meeting? So that's that one, and then the other one is
Something like that wouldn't occur anymore. Adoption of a textbook, at least they don't in my
no,
county.
it's just curriculum materials. But now you'd like to. I'd like to think that textbook adoption doesn't occur anymore, but I know of 6 districts, unfortunately, that still do.
Oh, wow, not ours.
No, in the far west, we have several that come from like Avery, Madison, down to Mitchell, Yancey, Cherokee, Graham,
Wow.
all of those that go up across the end of the state that border Tennessee, they all still use textbooks because they can't do virtual learning up there either because they don't have internet because of the signal. And so who was it I was talking with last week from one of those counties? I forget now who I was talking with, and said, "Oh no, they've never been out of school. They don't other than when they were back, when it closed in March, but they came back almost immediately and have been in session ever since because they don't. It's not like that. There's a digital divide up there. It's a digital desert, and so because of don't use digital materials, and so what they do is because kids may be at home for a week or more time because of snow days, they still do books. So it's books or curriculum materials. And so what did we say that was? Competency folio for artifacts. So I need to look. Okay, I got it. Let's see. So now again, and while we're doing this, competency. Come on.
But if you are able to give us access again to your shell, I would like that. I did find that helpful.
Yeah, I will. You're supposed to have it. So this is where they should have had artifacts from last semester. Where it says the app cell or the app tel, and these are the artifacts that they will have generated, and the competency that they match up with. I've just got the number here, and of course I've got the list right behind it. So competency 1 is
I remember that.
Yeah, so you can mark it. So what they'll be doing this time, so here are the artifacts that they will generate when they do the OMA with us this semester. Here all of those things are, and then the ones that they'll generate when they do the skip as well. So these are the kinds of things that you'll be looking for. And remind them, don't just do everything open-ended. We want certain ones. Look at each one of them, read the directions where it calls for one for the skip and the OMA. That's what we'll be looking for this semester. The open-ended ones are the easy ones in terms of we can make most anything fit that, but they have certain ones that they're required. The state wants to see, and so that's not a Dale decision. They preordained that, just like when they do the CAP, when they start the CAP with us. When they start the CAP with us, hopefully at the end of the semester, they have to look at 5 specific areas of the teacher working condition survey. Now, Gardner-Webb doesn't get to pick that. It's time, facilities, resources, teacher leadership, and school leadership, those 5. Now, they can add, like managing student conduct or professional development, they can add additional sections from the TWC in their analysis, but those 5 are required by DPI and the legislature. Just like when it says these 3, one from the app tel or one from the app cell, one from the app tel, and one open-ended. Again, I don't know why, but they determine the 3 that they want to see. And so we have to kind of hold them to that. They can't just put a bunch of stuff. of open-ended stuff in there. They want to see some stuff from their evidences as well, to make sure that they, again, that they weren't sitting in their basement writing these evidences, that they were actually out there doing these things that they said that they did during the evidences, that they actually formed a PLC in their app cell, that they actually did develop a school development plan, staff professional development plan for their app cell, that they did actually, develop an alternative or an updated or improved master schedule during, that they actually did this work as an intern. So that's why they're asking for proof from those particular things that they want to see. So again, you can use those as your guide. It's kind of crazy, but either they do really well at their competency folio or they just do terrible. The ones that get it, that understand what we're trying to get them to do, that to show the work that they're doing, they do a good job. Not a lot of work you have to do with them. Good, satisfied. Spring 2021 complete. Move on. Something that just that quick. So let me go in and show you that, and then we should be done. So share screen, back to Taskstream. All right. Let me switch back over here and sign back in. So if I go in as reviewer and I go to, let's see, school administration spring 20. Let's see if I've got any here that I can go look at. Continue. So yeah, here's the ones that I looked at last semester. So Katie was the one that did the work. And so and see, I would just put completed. Now if it needed something, you'd tell them what it needed. But again, you can see how Katie did hers, perfect. But if it's good, just say completed fall 2020, submit and go on. And I did but now let me see if I can find one that somebody didn't like. The reason I won't find one in Katie's, let me go back to the search result and see if I can find it. Let's see how she did. Okay. All right, so at the end, I told her to upload. This is what you do in the final semester. Upload your final fall internship log, and then you're ready to submit this folio for evaluation. And I give them the YouTube link to watch the video on how to do that. That's what you do at the end, but y'all won't do any of that. Let's see how she did. No, you see, no artifact uploaded. She rejected her artifact, or she didn't put it in, and she requested comments. Now, what some of them are going to do, and when they do this, you have my permission to tear their head off. What some of them are going to do is when they get in here and work, they're going to hit the request comments for all areas, and they may not have put anything under one. You got to hunt between all 21 of them where they put that one. And if they do that, what they're supposed to do is tell you where it is, and not just select all. So just like me, if I go to one of mine and I put something in, so I'm going to go to communication. I'm going to upload something here as an attachment. Upload from computer, add files, and say I'm going to upload a PowerPoint. Of some work that I did. All right. It's just this simple. Upload and close, save and return. All right, and then request comments. Now, what some of them will do to save time, when I've told them, don't just do them one. If you know you're going to put 6 in there, wait till the 6th one, then go request comments, and you can check which ones you want to go look at. Don't do them one at a time. But now some of them are even lazier than that. They'll do this and put 1 in, and then you gotta play where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. You got to go to every box and look for that one artifact that they you got to go to 23 different boxes and look for that one that they put in. Some of them will just do that every time, and every time they request comments, they'll just check them off. And you don't know where it is. You don't know which one it is. The Taskstream won't tell you. So you just have to start going down every box, even where it says comments, and see what's there until you find it. And then you can't quit until you go through all of them, because they might have put 2 in for all you know. And so I'm going to remind them again tomorrow night, do not hit the request comments on all areas unless you put something on under every one of them. Don't make us have to hunt your work. It takes longer to find it sometimes than it does to review it. And so take that off. So communication, say I did these 2. I should only select those 2, and I should only send 1 email. Don't blow up, everybody's email. And then continue. Now their choice should be hopefully just me and y'all.
Okay.
I'm hoping that that they won't do that. Let's see.
And then we go in and review and make comments.
Yep, and see if you like it or not. All right, let's see if I get a ding here. All right, and that's and that is simple. It's just that simple. And then when you get it and you go in and look at it, when they requested comments, completed for the fall for this semester or for the spring, or if there it comes. So now what will happen is when they do this, let me move this out of the way. Let's see what I got in my email. All right, see, this is what you'll get. Notification. All right, you'll get one that says notification of comment request. Okay. If you get one that says notification of evaluation request, then something's wrong. Yours will say comments, and it says click here to go to Taskstream, log into Taskstream. Let's see if it'll take me to there, log in. Now it's going to knock me out of my old one. It's going to ask. So let's see if it's going to take me directly to it or not. Yeah. Continue, terminate the other session. See if it takes me to the same one. All right. So I've got to remember, because this is Mel Spring 16. I did it in an old one, thank goodness. All right. So I go back to Taskstream. Let's see. Mel Spring 16. See, you'll say you have requests for comments, yay, and it'll have comments requested. Continue. Okay. And it'll have the red one for you to go to, and it will mark the ones that I marked. You see, I marked those 2. Now the problem is when they click select all, it'll have everything. Overall comments, it'll have everything checked all the way down through internship, digital learning. And you'll have to go through every one of those. And so I should find a PowerPoint under this. And there it is. See that? And
then we just add our comments.
You just open it up and look at it. And tell us what you think.
Okay.
Right? It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Does this represent a communication competency that you would have done in the app cell? Well, yeah, because we do APA 7th edition in the app cell. That's where we do this. And so this would be an appropriate app cell artifact. Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this, and if you already said it, I apologize. They are supposed to have 3 artifacts per competency.
1 per semester. You know, they do 3 rounds. They were to do 21 last semester. Communication through visionary. They would do the same this semester, same next semester.
So we're only looking at the one they've done for this semester.
You need to look and see what they did last semester as well.
Okay. And then, but we would not be telling anyone this semester that they're complete because they got to do it again next semester.
That is correct. They might add, the better students will have 4 or 5 or 7 or 8, but they have to be a full-time intern by state definition for at least a year. And so that means that they can't bank hours. They can't have 160 hours this semester and none next semester.
But I
They
mean,
can't do all
we shouldn't be putting that down in their comments that they're done. We can only just say that they're
complete for this semester.
Okay.
But they've got to do another one next semester that shows they're an intern there as well.
Okay.
So the 2 things that they use to gauge whether you're a full-time intern for at least a year is they look at your internship and, you know, your internship log. You got to have 80 hours every semester, and you've got to have a competency portfolio, a completed round of competencies, 3 of them, but 1 for each semester. They can't all be put in one semester.
Right, and that completely makes sense. I just
And
wanted to make
that's
sure.
how they acknowledge that you actually did a clinical internship.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we shouldn't be finalizing anybody for this semester.
We don't have
You're good for this semester.
They can't finish their internship hours or their folio this semester.
Okay.
It's really critical with these add-ons because they're only with us for a year.
Right.
You know, we got a little leeway on the master's people. Some of them, you know, I hate to say it, they're supposed to be full-time all the way through for a year. Some of them kind of knock off the last semester because they've already met their year. But we try to, you know, we get after them about, no, you can't do that. We're not going to let you bank hours. I'm not going to pass you. You don't have at least 80 hours this semester. But sometimes that last one is all bus duty because they're trying to get everything done at the end, especially if they finish in the summer. It jams them up, and they'll pretty much not be doing any internship activities that last semester, trying to get everything done up. And if you don't make them, they'll do that. And then there's the issue was, were you an intern continuously for a year? Well, they'll argue because I've been in the program 5 semesters, obviously I was an intern the first 4, which represents over a year. And so, we don't allow that. We make them, if they're going to be in the program, they're supposed to be an intern. They're supposed to continue to do the activities of an intern the entire time. We don't have any leeway to add on. They're only with us for a year. And so they must show 80, 80, 80. And, you know, the kid, they'll ask, can I do all 240 in the first semester? You do 240, but you're going to do it again next semester and the semester after that. And they'll ask the same thing. Can I do all 3 of my competencies on communication? You do 3 this semester, but you're going to do 1 next semester and the 1 after that.
Okay.
Because this is the way that we prove that you actually did a clinical experience. And so my time with Gardner Webb, this is the start of my 11th year. I started in August of 2010. So I guess I'm in my 11th year. But anyway, the state has gotten so much tighter, DPI, on providers over this period of time. When they first switched over to the portfolio system, August 1st, 2010, from the old ISLIC exam system where you took the exam, paid $500 and took the exam, when they switched over, you know, pretty much whatever we wanted to do, you know, we did this, we did that, we did the other. But over the years, they've got tighter and tighter and tighter. And now that they have state boarding has adopted, and obviously that would be DPI, since state board made that decision, that all providers would meet CAPE standards. I guess what I'm saying is some of this stuff seems a little bit going around your elbow to get you behind, but we have to do it. I could figure out a lot easier ways to do a lot of this stuff, but this is the way they want it done. And you know how DPI is. Once they figure out something, you can't ever question it, or you can't say that there's a better use of this technology, or we could do a better job of doing this. Oh no, you can't tell them they're wrong. Just like just like the General Assembly and the state board, you can't tell somebody that got idiots to vote for them that they're wrong. That they think that the right or wrong was based on getting stupid people to vote for me. And so you can't tell them that, this is really kind of obtuse, that we could do all this in one portfolio. We could make it a whole lot easier, and we could make it a lot more direct and fix. No, can't do that. This is the way we want it. So when students say, why do I have to do it this way? Because this is what DPI says you have to do. We would do it. Trust me, if I could do it differently, I would do it differently. I would never go to Taskstream and let them. I could figure. Trust me, I could do this in Blackboard, but we'd have to be able to use Kaltura, which is a program inside of Blackboard. But since we don't have that activated at Gardner Webb, they claim we do, but we don't, then we have to use Taskstream, which is what the state says they want it in anyway. So it's a little, no, it's not a little, it's a lot obtuse, but it is what it is. And so you'll be working with them. You'll check their DRF portfolio and see where they are. That gives you the opportunity to make some contacts or to see what's happening with them. And you can look at the quality of the work. You can actually view their work. You can click on, don't cancel the evaluation, but you can view edit and then view their work. You can look, you can read their evidences and see what they're doing. And you'll be able to pick up on who's going to be weak and what they need to be working on. So if I have to send them to you for help, but you can see their previous work. So you'll know what they're capable of if they're shining you on that they can't do any better, or they're not putting the time in it this semester. You kind of know what they're capable of. And then their competency artifact folio, you can see if they're actually doing the work or not. And like you say, that was a good point Sheena made a while ago, is this might give us an opportunity to enter into a conversation with them about what kind of access are you getting. If this is the best artifacts you're generating, you're not having very much of an experience here. And when we send this to a prospective employer, they're not going to be real impressed that you know a whole lot or that you've experienced a whole lot. Can we send somebody out to your school to enter into a conversation as to why things aren't going better than this? And a lot of them, then they'll straighten up and do better. They had the opportunity. They were just, trying to coast on you a little bit. But by and large, the add-on licensure people are more motivated. They do better work. There's not too many, that are weaseling and trying to weasel out of work. Most of them are really, this is a really quality group in terms of the work that they can do and have their motivation level. But we're defined by our least. We're known by the least of our group here, and so the coaches, it's uneven. You don't work the same amount with everybody. 4 or 5 of them will take up the majority of your time. But really, that's what the coaching model is about. To each one the needs that they have. I'm certainly hope you don't have to work with more than 4 or 5. If that's the case, then we shouldn't have let all of them through after last semester. Something was wrong with our system if we have more than 4 or 5 that can't do the work at the second level. So that's kind of it. I think our time's about up. Or how far over time have I gone? 7 minutes. That's not bad for me. All right, questions you have?
No, that really helped clear things up.
I'll have to talk to Bob again tomorrow to get y'all back in where you can see my shells.
Thank you.
I'm in the shell. I'm good.
Okay. I don't know why, Anna. Yours not. Which browser are you using, Anna?
Firefox.
Mozilla?
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be the best one.
I know, and that's why I was using it, because somebody, I think I might have saw that in the training or something.
It was.
Bob. That's all Bob knows. Every problem. Switch browsers. If it doesn't fix it, then Bob doesn't know. And then he kicks it upstairs to his boss, Emily. And Emily might get back to you next week, and it might be next month.
I'm using Chrome, so it went through, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm using Chrome, and I'm not having problems with it, but I'll see what Bob's problem is. That access only lasts for a few minutes sometimes. So we'll work on that tomorrow to get you where you can get.
All right, now I'll check Chrome too, and if I see a difference, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I am gonna sit in with Mark one day next week.
Yeah, he only got a couple. We didn't hardly get, of course, we didn't get a very big.
But one of his has not gotten back to him
Yeah,
yet.
it may not be but one. And so
He's emailed the guy
I
twice
may
and he
have
hasn't
him
responded.
pick up some more. I don't know what, I don't understand who all these names were on the list, and so, but that's another story for another day.
All right, so
I get to yell and scream about that next Wednesday. So
okay.
I need to save my breath. And so, the irony is the person who perpetrated this fraud sent me an email that she was going to initiate an investigation. And I thought, well, it won't be far from home. So because her group's the one that sent me the numbers, so she just, she just asked them. They sat in the same room over there in that little mill house over on University Drive. Which one of y'all sent Dale this, and why'd you send him this list of people that had just inquired instead of the people who had actually made the application? But that's another story for another day. It's good to see both of you tonight.
Good to see you. We'll see you tomorrow night too.
All right, yeah, y'all get to hear me rant and rave for 60 minutes. God, that's just, y'all ought to get combat pay down and listen to me twice.
3 times.
That's right.
Oh,
3
Lord.
times this week.
Lord have mercy. That's awful. But
it's like winning the lottery.
I know, but we try to keep our folks informed. They, believe it or not, they appreciate it. I wouldn't, but they do. But they want to know, they want to hear, they want to know what's going on all the time.
Who needs the Powerball or the Mega Millions? We got you, Dr. Glenn, for 3 times.
Y'all have won the lottery. I know, but you'd be amazed at the Net Promoter Score, and how happy students are and would recommend you. You'd be amazed at how the scores have gone up now that we do all the town halls and come on live with them and do extra coaching and all that. The satisfaction has gone through the roof. That's on a -100 to +100. The undergraduate program at Gardner Webb averages a -30. The average graduate program just barely positive. Our Net Promoter Score over the last how many semesters? 8 semesters. Our average is 94.12 over the last 8 semesters.
That's fantastic.
And they tell us, because they treat us as equals and they keep us informed. So that's big to them. I probably wouldn't slip my wrist if I had to listen to myself every week, but they seem to love it. So who knows? Who knew? All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Thank y'all.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.